Great seeing you back for Devos. Okay, Mark chapter 6. And again, it goes right with our weekend sermon. So today I want to take a look at the story in Mark 6 about a God-appointed storm. Let me ask you, do you ever go through something and you're like, why would God permit this to happen? Or let's say you did something really wrong. Okay, it was your fault, but in God's great wisdom, he sends us on purpose into a storm. I'm going to prove it. I never saw this before in this story. This is to show you how God just keeps bringing his word alive. Okay, first of all, whatever you're going through right now, if you're in a storm, especially you're in trouble right now, got something big going on, you are never out of God's sight. Never. Okay, Mark chapter 6, verse 45. So, Jesus, remember, they fed all those people yesterday we were looking at, ministering. Then finally, Jesus is bringing the day to an end. He says this, Mark 6:45. Immediately, he made his disciples get in a boat. He made them. He ordered them. And said, go before him to the other side, to Bethsaida, while he dismissed the crowd. And he was going to spend some time with his Father in prayer. So he ordered them, you have to get in the boat and go. It's a big part of the story. Sometimes God sends you into a storm. They're going to go into a storm. The storm's out of control. They're in it's only like 4 or 5 miles wide, but they're rowing, so it's kind of slow. They're in the middle of big storms will come up overnight in 5-10 minutes. And they're in this horrible storm. Jesus did this on purpose. He purposely sent them in a storm. And sometimes he sends you into a storm, even though it might be your fault. He orchestrated this. Look at Mark 6:48. So, and when he saw they were making headway painfully, let's just stop right there. He's on land. They're in the middle. They're at least 2 miles out. That's a miracle. It's dark. It's pitch black. Maybe the moon's out. He could see 2 miles away. Why? Because he's God. I like it. So when he saw them, they're trying to make headway. They're not making headway. Painfully. It's all painful. You're in painful trouble right now. The wind was against them. Life's all against you. Look at. At about the 4th watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea. He meant to pass by them. So he said, I'll meet you over there. He's going to walk his way across the lake or the ocean there. I like our lake. Look down here. You are never out of God's reach. You are never out of God's reach. You're never out of his sight, and you're never out of his reach. Mark 6:49, and when they saw him walking on the sea, they thought it was a ghost. And they cried out because they could see his glory shining. They don't even know it's Jesus. They're frightened out of their minds. Listen, you are never out of God's care. He lets them know that it is him. Look at Mark 6:50. They saw him and they were terrified. But immediately he spoke to them and he said, take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid. Listen, you might be in a storm right now. Jesus sent you into the storm. The strongest Christians I know have had the worst things happen to them. They've had horrible surgeries. Their spouses got up and dumped them and left them, and they're trying to take care of these little kids. Public stories came out about them. They weren't true, made up. You've been humbled and smashed. It's all designed by God. He sent you into that storm because he wants to do something great within your life through that storm. And I'm going to be with you. You're not out of my sight. You're not out of my mind. You're not out of my care. And do not be afraid. So I want you, if you're in something right now, I want you to say, I am not frightened. I am not scared. Because I'm in God's hand. And nobody's taking me out of God's hand. And I'm going to be protected by him.